The emergency lights pulsed red throughout the vast chamber of the Galactic Council. Ambassador Kriva stood at the center podium, her crystalline body reflecting the warning lights in sharp, angry patterns. Around her, representatives from 47 different species sat in their designated sections, their attention focused on the holographic display floating above the chamber floor. The image showed a vessel, a human vessel. It hung in space like a predator, dark and menacing against the stars. Its hull was thick, covered in strange plating that the Council's best scientists could not identify. Weapons bristled from every surface. The ship was massive, larger than anything the Council had built in 3 centuries. "This is unacceptable," Kriva's voice rang out, translated instantly into dozens of languages. "The humans were explicitly told that military vessels are forbidden. We made this clear during first contact 5 years ago. Yet here they are building a warship in direct violation of Council law." Mindari observer Telshawn floated in his suspension field, his large eyes blinking slowly. His telepathic voice echoed in every mind present. "Perhaps we should consider that they do not understand the severity of their actions. Humans are young, primitive. They may simply be ignorant of our ways." A chittering sound came from the creche section. High Commander Zixtar's mandibles clicked, together rapidly, a sign of agitation among his kind. "Ignorance is no excuse. We have maintained peace for 300 years precisely because we enforce these laws without exception. If we allow humans to keep this vessel, others will demand the same privilege. The peace will crumble." The holographic display rotated, showing the human ship from different angles. It was called the Indomitable according to intercepted transmissions. The name itself was aggressive, confrontational, not the name of an exploration vessel or a merchant ship. This was built for war, and war was something the galaxy had forgotten. Kriva gestured and the display changed. Now it showed Earth, the human homeworld. It was a small planet, mostly water, located in what the Council considered a backwater region of space. The humans had only achieved faster-than-light travel 20 years ago. They had no business building something like the Indomitable. "I propose immediate action," Kriva continued. "We send an enforcement fleet to confiscate this vessel and arrest its crew. We place Earth under quarantine until the humans can prove they understand and respect Council law. We cannot allow this to stand." There was murmuring throughout the chamber. Some species agreed immediately, their representatives voicing support. Others were more cautious, suggesting diplomatic solutions first. But all of them shared one thing. They believed humans could be controlled. After all, what could one primitive species do against the combined might of the Galactic Council? The vote was called. 43 species voted in favor of enforcement action. Only 4 abstained. None voted against. The decision was made. 3 Council enforcement ships would be dispatched immediately to human space. They would deliver an ultimatum: surrender the warship or face the consequences. Kriva felt satisfaction ripple through her crystalline structure. The humans would learn their place. They would understand that the Council's laws existed for good reason. War was a relic of the past, a barbaric practice that had nearly destroyed the galaxy thousands of years ago. The Council had built something better, a civilization based on cooperation and peaceful resolution of conflicts. The enforcement fleet departed from Viridian Station within the hour. 3 massive ships, each over a kilometer long, equipped with the latest gravity disruptors and shield technology. Their crews were trained peacekeepers, not warriors. They had no need to be warriors. In 3 centuries, no species had ever resisted Council enforcement. Captain Thoranel commanded the lead ship, the Harmonious Unity. She was Zathen, like Ambassador Kriva, and she shared her people's absolute belief in the Council's mission. As her ship entered faster-than-light travel, she reviewed the mission parameters. It should be simple. Arrive at human space, locate the warship, disable it with gravity disruptors, board it, and take the crew into custody. Standard procedure. The journey would take 3 days. Thoranel used the time to study everything the Council knew about humans. It was not much. They were bipedal mammals, unusually tall and heavy for their size. They came from a high-gravity world with extreme weather patterns. Their technology was adequate but not impressive. Their social structure was chaotic, divided into hundreds of separate governments that somehow cooperated, despite having no telepathic or chemical bonds. One detail caught her attention. Human history was filled with conflict. Not the minor disputes that occasionally arose between council species, but large-scale warfare involving millions of casualties. The reports described weapons of terrible power, tactics of systematic destruction, and a willingness to endure suffering that seemed almost incomprehensible. But that was their past, Thornell told herself. Surely they had evolved beyond such barbarism. All species did eventually. That was the natural progression of civilization. You either learned to cooperate peacefully, or you destroyed yourselves. The humans had survived, which meant they must have learned the same lessons every other species had learned. The enforcement fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of human-controlled space. Sensors immediately detected the Indomitable. It was exactly where intelligence reports had predicted, holding position near a human colony world called New Brisbane. Thornell's sensor operator began the standard scan. Then she stopped, her faceplates shifting colors in confusion. "Captain, I am getting readings that do not make sense. The human ship's power signature is enormous. It's generating more energy than all three of our ships combined." "That cannot be correct," Thornell said. "Check your instruments." "I have, Captain, multiple times. The readings are accurate." The operator's voice was uncertain now. "Captain, there is something else. The vessel's hull composition is unknown. Our scanners cannot penetrate it, and there are what appear to be weapon systems covering almost every surface. I count at least 200 individual weapon emplacements." Thornell felt something she had not experienced in her long career. Doubt. She pushed it aside. The Council's gravity disruptors could disable any ship, regardless of size or power. She opened a communication channel. "Human vessel Indomitable. This is Captain Thornell of the Council Enforcement Fleet. You are in violation of Galactic Council regulations regarding military technology. You are ordered to power down your systems immediately and prepare to be boarded. Failure to comply will result in the use of force." There was a pause. Then a voice responded in perfect galactic standard. It was a human female voice, calm and professional. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Terran colonial ship Indomitable. Captain Thornell, we are not subject to Council regulations. Earth has not signed your treaty, and we operate in sovereign human space. I politely decline your order." Thornell's confusion deepened. "Commander Chen, you do not understand the situation. The Council's authority extends throughout this region of space. Your compliance is not optional." "Captain?" Chen's voice carried a note of something that might have been amusement. "I understand the situation perfectly. You believe you can force us to comply. I am telling you that you cannot. I suggest you return to Viridian Station and inform the Council that humanity will not be surrendering any of our vessels. Then, we will have no choice but to disable your ship and take you into custody by force." There was another pause. When Chen spoke again, her voice had lost all warmth. "You are welcome to try." Thornell signaled her fleet. The three enforcement ships moved into formation and activated their gravity disruptors. Invisible waves of gravitational force lanced out toward the Indomitable, enough power to crush a normal ship's engines and leave it dead in space. The human warship continued on its course, completely unaffected. Then every alarm on the Harmonious Unity began screaming at once. The Indomitable had just locked weapons onto all three Council ships simultaneously. The bridge of the Harmonious Unity erupted in chaos. Warning lights flashed across every console. The tactical display showed what should have been impossible: 347 individual targeting locks distributed evenly across all three Council ships. Each lock represented a weapon system capable of firing independently. "Evasive maneuvers," Thornell ordered, but her voice lacked confidence. The Indomitable had not moved, had not even adjusted its position, yet somehow it maintained perfect targeting solutions on three ships simultaneously. That required computational power and sensor systems far beyond what a species like humanity should possess. Her communications officer looked up, faceplates flickering with fear. "Captain, we are receiving another transmission from the human vessel. Put it through." Commander Chen's voice filled the bridge again. "Captain Thorinel, I have over 300 weapons aimed at your ships. Each one is capable of penetrating standard council shielding. I have firing solutions locked and ready. You attempted to disable my vessel without provocation in sovereign space. Under human military doctrine, that is an act of war, and I would be justified in destroying all 3 of your ships." Thorinel felt her crystalline structure vibrate with an emotion she barely recognized. It was fear. "Commander Chen, we are a council enforcement fleet. We were merely attempting to execute lawful orders. Your laws, Captain, not ours." Chen's tone was patient, almost kind, which somehow made it worse. "I am going to give you something your council did not give us. A choice. You have 2 options. First option, you can continue this confrontation and I will be forced to defend my vessel and crew. I assure you that will not end well for anyone. Second option, you withdraw immediately, return to your council, and inform them that humanity is not interested in their forced compliance." "The council will not accept this," Thorinel said. But even as she spoke, she was gesturing to her navigator to plot a retreat course. Every instinct told her this was a fight she could not win. "That is the council's decision to make," Chen replied. "But I suggest you also deliver this message. Humanity does not seek conflict. We will respect council space and council laws within that space. But human space is ours to govern. If the council can accept that, we can coexist peacefully. If not, then they should be prepared for what comes next." "What comes next?" Thorinel asked, though part of her did not want to know the answer. "War, Captain. Something your council has forgotten. Something humanity remembers very well." The transmission ended. Thorinel looked at her tactical officer. "Can we win this fight?" The officer was Kresh, his mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. "No, Captain. Their shields are operating at an efficiency we cannot match. Their weapons have longer range than ours, and their targeting systems are tracking us faster than our computers can calculate evasion patterns. If they fire, we will lose at least 2 ships immediately, possibly all 3. Thorinel made her decision. "All ships, full retreat, maximum speed back to council space." The 3 enforcement vessels turned and fled. Behind them, the Indomitable held its position, making no attempt to pursue. That somehow made it worse. The humans were so confident in their superiority that they did not even bother to chase away the retreating ships. The journey back to Viridian Station felt much longer than 3 days. Thorinel sent continuous reports to the council, detailing everything that had happened. The response was disbelief. Ambassador Kriva insisted there must be some mistake. No primitive species could possibly have technology that advanced. Perhaps the humans had purchased the ship from some other species, or stolen it. But Thorinel knew what she had seen. The Indomitable was human, built by human hands using human technology, and it was far more dangerous than anything the Council had faced in living memory. When the enforcement fleet finally reached Viridian Station, the entire Council was waiting. The emergency session reconvened immediately. This time there was no confident talk of easy solutions. The holographic display showed new images of the Indomitable, taken during the confrontation. Every council member stared at those images with growing dread. "This changes everything," Mindari observer Telshan said, his telepathic voice heavy with concern. "We assumed humans were primitive. We assumed they could be controlled." Both assumptions were incorrect. High Commander Zixtar's mandibles clacked together. "We need to assemble the defense fleet. If humans have 1 ship like this, they may have more. We must be prepared for an attack." "No," a new voice spoke up. It was Ambassador Pelrun of the Sivari, a species that rarely participated in council debates. "We must open negotiations immediately." "Negotiate?" Kriva's crystalline body flashed angry reds. "They defied council authority. They threatened our enforcement fleet. We cannot reward such behavior. We also cannot defeat them," Pelrun said quietly. "I have reviewed Captain Thorinel's reports thoroughly. The human ship is not just more advanced than ours. It is built on entirely different principles. While we have spent 3 centuries building ships for peaceful purposes, humans have been refining the art of war. We are children playing at enforcement, facing adults who understand violence in ways we have forgotten." The chamber fell silent. No one wanted to admit it, but everyone knew Pelrun was right. The Council's power came from unified authority and economic leverage. They had not fought a real war in 300 years. Their weapons were designed to disable, not destroy. Their tactics were based on overwhelming bureaucratic pressure, not military strategy. We should invite them here, Pelrun continued, to Viridian Station. Let them present their case before the full council. Let us understand what we are dealing with before we make any more mistakes. It was Ambassador Kriva who finally spoke. And if they refuse? Or worse, if they come here with hostile intent? Then we will know for certain what kind of species we are dealing with, Pelrun said. But I suspect the humans are not interested in conquest. If they were, Commander Chen would have destroyed our enforcement fleet. Instead, she gave them a choice. That suggests humanity understands restraint. Even in victory, the vote was called. This time, the result was different. 38 species voted to extend an invitation to the humans. 6 voted against. 3 abstained. The invitation would be sent. Far away in human space, Commander Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and read the incoming message from the Galactic Council. An invitation to Viridian Station. A request for dialogue. A chance to explain humanity's position. Her executive officer, Lieutenant Marcus Webb, read over her shoulder. It could be a trap, Commander, Chen smiled. Of course it could be. But we knew this moment was coming. The Council was always going to react when they realized we were not going to be controlled. Better to have this conversation now on terms we can partially dictate. So we accept? We accept, Chen confirmed. But we go in strength. Full tactical readiness. Shields up. Weapons hot. We show them respect, but we also show them that humanity will not be intimidated. Webb nodded. When do we leave? Plot a course for Viridian Station, Chen ordered. Maximum speed. We will arrive in 6 days, and Webb? Make sure every system on this ship is operating at peak efficiency. We are about to walk into the heart of Galactic Council territory. We need to look like exactly what we are. And what is that, Commander? Chen looked out at the stars, her expression hard. Dangerous. The Indomitable engaged its faster-than-light drive and jumped toward Viridian Station. Behind it, a coded message transmitted back to Earth, informing the colonial administration of the Council's invitation. The response came quickly. Proceed with caution, but proceed. Humanity was about to step onto the galactic stage, ready or not. In the Council chamber on Viridian Station, defensive preparations began. Ships were recalled from patrol routes. Shield emplacements were activated around the station. Medical facilities were placed on standby. No one knew exactly what would happen when the humans arrived. But everyone understood this was a pivotal moment. 300 years of peace hung in the balance, all because one species refused to be controlled. 6 days later, the Indomitable emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Viridian Station's defensive perimeter. The massive human warship held position exactly 3 million kilometers from the station, close enough to be threatening, far enough to show they were not attacking. Every sensor on Viridian Station locked onto the vessel immediately. What they saw confirmed everyone's worst fears. The Indomitable was scarred from what looked like previous battles. Its armor showed repair patches in dozens of locations. This was not a new ship fresh from a construction yard. This was a veteran warship that had seen real combat. In the Council chamber, Ambassador Kriva watched the tactical display with growing unease. How many battles has that ship fought? And against whom? We believed humanity was isolated in their region of space. Captain Thorinell, who had been invited to attend the session, studied the images carefully. The scarring patterns are consistent with energy weapons, kinetic impacts, and what appears to be missile damage. If I had to estimate, I would say the Indomitable has been in at least a dozen separate engagements. Against other humans? Mindari observer Telshon asked. Most likely, Thorinell confirmed. Remember, humans are divided into multiple governments. Perhaps they fight among themselves. The thought was disturbing. A species that regularly fought wars against itself would have extensive military experience. They would understand tactics, strategy, and the brutal calculus of violence in ways the Council had deliberately forgotten. The communication from the Indomitable was brief and professional. Commander Chen requested permission to dock a shuttle at Viridian Station. She would come with a security detail of 6 personnel. All would be armed, as was standard procedure for human military personnel in potentially hostile territory. Armed personnel entering Viridian Station was unprecedented. Council law strictly forbade weapons within the station's walls, but after a tense debate, the Council agreed to make an exception. Refusing would be seen as a sign of weakness, and after the failure of the enforcement fleet, the Council could not afford to appear weak. The human shuttle was small and angular, built for function rather than aesthetics. It docked at Bay 47, usually reserved for diplomatic vessels. A security team of Zathan peacekeepers waited at the airlock, their gravity restraint devices ready but not active. When the airlock opened, the humans stepped through. Commander Sarah Chen was in the lead, wearing a dark blue uniform with gold insignia. She was tall, nearly 2 meters, with short dark hair and brown eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. Her expression was calm and professional. Behind her came 6 security personnel also in uniform. Each carried a weapon on their hip, angular devices made of black metal. The Zathan security team's sensors analyzed the weapons and returned disturbing data. They were projectile weapons, capable of accelerating small metal slugs to hypersonic velocities. Simple technology, but brutally effective. "Welcome to Viridian Station," the lead Zathan peacekeeper said, his translator rendering the greeting in human English. "I am Security Chief Vortek. The Council is prepared to receive you in the main chamber." Chen nodded respectfully. "Thank you, Security Chief. I am Commander Sarah Chen, representing the Terran Colonial Fleet. We appreciate the Council's willingness to meet with us." Vortek led them through the station's corridors. Other species stopped to stare at the humans, their reactions ranging from curiosity to fear. The humans walked with military precision, their formation maintaining perfect spacing, their eyes constantly scanning for threats. These were trained soldiers, Vortek realized. Not diplomats pretending to be warriors, but actual combat veterans. The council chamber was filled to capacity. Every species wanted to witness this historic meeting. Chen and her security team entered through the main doors. The humans stopped at the designated speaking position, and Chen stood alone while her security team formed a protective semicircle behind her. Ambassador Kriva spoke first, her crystalline voice echoing through the chamber. "Commander Chen, you stand before the Galactic Council to answer for humanity's violation of our laws. You were explicitly told that military vessels are forbidden, yet you built the Indomitable in direct defiance of our authority." Chen waited until the translation finished, then spoke clearly. "Ambassador Kriva, with respect, humanity never agreed to your laws. We were informed of them during first contact, yes, but we never signed any treaty. We never surrendered our sovereignty. We never accepted Council authority over human space. All species in this region accept Council authority," Kriva responded. "It is the price of membership in galactic civilization. Then perhaps humanity does not wish to be a member," Chen said calmly. "We came to the stars seeking knowledge, trade, and friendship. We found those things, and we are grateful, but we will not surrender our right to self-defense in exchange for them." High Commander Zixtar's mandibles clicked aggressively. "Your ship threatened Council peacekeepers. You pointed weapons at vessels on a lawful enforcement mission. How is that self-defense?" Chen turned to face the Kresh commander. "Your ships entered human space without permission. They attempted to disable our vessel using weapons. They threatened to board us by force and arrest our crew. Under any reasonable definition, that is an act of aggression. We responded with restraint. We could have destroyed all 3 ships. We chose not to. You admit you could have destroyed them?" Mindari observer Telshan's telepathic voice carried shock. "Yes," Chen said simply. "The Indomitable carries sufficient firepower to eliminate your entire enforcement fleet. We had targeting solutions locked. Our weapons were charged and ready. But we chose dialogue over violence. We gave your captain a choice, and she chose wisely." The chamber erupted in agitated sounds from dozens of species. The casual admission that humanity could have destroyed the enforcement fleet, combined with Chen's complete lack of remorse, was deeply unsettling. Kriva called for order, the crystalline chime of her voice cutting through the chaos. "Commander Chen, the Council has maintained peace for 300 years by preventing the proliferation of military technology. War is a relic of barbarism. We evolved beyond it. Why has humanity not done the same?" Chen was quiet for a moment, considering her answer carefully. "Ambassador, may I show you something?" Kriva hesitated, then agreed. Chen gestured to one of her security personnel, who stepped forward with a portable holographic projector. The device activated and images began to play in the center of the chamber. The first image showed Earth from space, beautiful and blue. Then the view shifted to the surface. Cities, forests, oceans. It looked peaceful. Then the images changed. War. Not the small skirmishes that occasionally broke out between Council species, but total war. Images of devastation on a scale the Council had not seen in millennia. Cities reduced to rubble. Millions of casualties. Weapons of terrible power that could level entire regions. Chen spoke over the images, her voice steady. This is human history. We did not choose to be warlike. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day. Diseases, predators, disasters. We survived by learning to fight back. And when we ran out of external threats, we fought each other. The images continued. Different wars, different eras, all showing the same thing. Humanity's endless capacity for violence and destruction. These are the world wars, Chen explained. Conflicts that spanned our entire planet. 50 million dead in the first one, 70 million in the second. We developed weapons that could split atoms and destroy cities in single blasts. We came within moments of rendering our own planet uninhabitable. The Council members watched in horrified fascination. This was beyond anything they had experienced or imagined. But we survived, Chen continued. We learned, we grew. We reached the stars not because we overcame our capacity for violence, but because we learned when to use it and when to restrain it. The indomitable exists because we know the universe is not always peaceful. We know threats exist, and we know that peace is not maintained by wishing for it, but by being strong enough to defend it. Ambassador Pelron of the Sivari spoke up. You are saying that your violent history makes you better prepared for the future? I am saying our violent history taught us lessons you have forgotten, Chen replied. The Council believes war is obsolete. You believe that because you made it illegal, it no longer exists. But laws only constrain those who choose to follow them. What happens when you encounter a species that does not respect your laws? What happens when diplomacy fails? What happens when someone stronger decides to take what you have? That has not happened in 3 centuries, Kriva said. Chen looked directly at the ambassador. Yes, because no one has challenged you. But that does not mean no one ever will. The universe is vast. There are thousands of species you have never met. Some of them may not be interested in peaceful cooperation. She gestured to the holographic display, and the images changed again. Now they showed the indomitable, both its exterior and interior. This ship represents 10,000 years of human military evolution. Every system, every weapon, every tactic has been refined through actual combat. We do not have this knowledge because we are proud of it. We have it because we paid for it in blood. The chamber was completely silent now. Every eye was on Chen. Commander Chen, Ambassador Kriva began, but before she could continue, every alarm in Viridian Station began to sound. The emergency broadcast system activated, filling the chamber with urgent warnings in dozens of languages. Security Chief Vortek rushed into the chamber, his faceplates flickering with panic. Council, we have multiple contacts entering the system. Unknown signatures. They are not responding to hails. They are not in our database. The main holographic display changed, showing the tactical situation around Viridian Station. What they saw made every council member freeze in terror. Ships, dozens of them. No, hundreds. They were emerging from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system, and their formation was unmistakably hostile. Chen's security team immediately went into action. One pulled out a communication device and spoke rapidly in human English. Another moved to stand directly beside Chen, weapon hand hovering near their sidearm. The military precision of their movements was startling. Who are they? Kriva demanded, her crystalline body flashing fear patterns. The tactical officer's voice shook as she responded. Scanning now, Ambassador. Energy signatures match historical records. They are Vornak. The name sent shockwaves through the chamber. The Vornak were legend, a species the Council had fought 2,000 years ago in the last great Galactic War. They had been driven into exile, their civilization shattered. The Council had believed them extinct or at least too weak to ever return. They had been wrong. High Commander Zixtar's mandibles clicked rapidly. How many ships? Initial count is 473 vessels, the tactical officer reported. Dreadnoughts, battle cruisers, and support craft. They are moving directly toward Viridian Station. Estimated time to weapons range, 2 hours. Mindari observer Telshan's telepathic voice was barely a whisper. We cannot fight that many. Our defense fleet numbers less than 100 ships, and they are not designed for combat. Panic spread through the chamber. Representatives were shouting, some demanding immediate evacuation, others calling for negotiations. The unified authority of the Council was crumbling in real time. Then Commander Chen's voice cut through the chaos. Silence! The single word, delivered with absolute command authority, somehow quieted the entire chamber. Chen turned to Kriva. Ambassador, you have incoming hostiles. Your defense fleet is inadequate. You need to make a decision right now. Do you want our help? Kriva's crystalline structure pulsed with conflicting patterns. Pride warred with fear. The Council had just spent an hour debating whether to condemn humanity for their military capabilities. Now they needed those same capabilities to survive. What do you propose? Kriva asked quietly. The Indomitable will serve as flagship for your defense, Chen said immediately. Your ships will follow my tactical command. We reorganize your fleet using human military doctrine. We have 2 hours to prepare and we will need every second. You would help us? After we tried to confiscate your ship? Chen's expression was hard. Ambassador, you are about to be attacked by a hostile force. People are going to die. Potentially millions if they reach the station. My personal feelings about your Council's policies do not override my duty to prevent that if I can. Ambassador Pell Run spoke up quickly. The Council accepts your assistance, Commander. What do you need from us? Full tactical control of your defense fleet, Chen said. No debates, no committee decisions. You give me command, I give you a chance at survival. Take it or leave it, but decide now. Kriva looked around the chamber. She saw fear in every face, heard panic in every voice. The Council had forgotten war, and now war had returned. They needed someone who remembered. The Council grants you tactical command of our defense fleet, Kriva said formally. All ships will follow your orders. Chen nodded sharply and immediately began issuing commands to her security team. One pulled out a portable tactical display. Another was already coordinating with the Indomitable, transmitting data at speeds that seemed impossible. Security Chief Vortek, Chen called out. I need a direct communication link to every ship in your defense fleet. Now. Vortek scrambled to comply. Within moments, Chen was connected to every Council ship captain in the system. Her voice went out on all channels simultaneously. This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Terran colonial ship Indomitable. As of this moment, I have tactical command of the defense fleet by order of the Galactic Council. All ships will follow my orders without question or delay. We have less than 2 hours to prepare for a hostile fleet of significant size. I need complete compliance. Understood. The responses came back slowly. Some captains agreed immediately. Others hesitated, questioning why they should follow a human. Chen's response was blunt. You can question my authority or you can survive. Choose now. The questioning stopped. Chen's hands flew across the portable tactical display. She was pulling up data on every Council ship, analyzing their capabilities, identifying their strengths and weaknesses. Her mind was processing information at a rate that seemed superhuman. First priority, she announced. Fleet reorganization. You have been deploying your ships in a standard patrol formation. That is acceptable for peacekeeping. It is suicide against an actual military force. We are going to restructure into a defensive sphere around Viridian Station. She began assigning positions. Ships with stronger shields were placed on the outer layer. Vessels with better sensors were positioned to provide early warning. Support craft were pulled back to protected positions. Within 30 minutes, the entire Council fleet had been reorganized according to human military doctrine. The Council representatives watched in amazement. Chen was moving ships like pieces on a game board, creating layers of defense that none of them had considered. Every position had a purpose. Every ship had a specific role. Second priority, Chen continued. Your weapons. Most of you have gravity disruptors designed to disable ships non-lethally. Against the Vornak, those are useless. I need you to repurpose them. Repurpose them how? Asked one captain. Gravity disruptors work by creating localized gravitational fields, Chen explained while continuing to work. You have been using them at low power to crush engines without destroying ships. We are going to run them at maximum power and target enemy weapon systems. It will not destroy their ships, but it will significantly reduce their offensive capability. It was brilliant in its simplicity. The Council had designed their weapons for peacekeeping, but Chen had immediately identified an alternative military application. Third priority, Chen said, the Indomitable will serve as mobile artillery. We have longer range weapons than your ships. We will engage enemy capital ships before they can close to effective range. Your fleet will focus on their smaller vessels and prevent them from flanking our position. She looked up at the council members. You also need to prepare this station for attack. Your shields are designed for radiation protection and micrometeorite defense. They will not stop military-grade weapons. I need engineering teams to reconfigure your shield generators for combat operations. Ambassador Kriva gestured to her technical staff, who immediately rushed from the chamber to carry out Chen's orders. The Voronak fleet continued its advance. Long-range scans provided more detailed information. Their ships were old, many showing signs of damage and hasty repairs. But they were still dangerous, still numerous, and they were clearly intent on attacking Viridian Station. A transmission came from the Voronak flagship. It was broadcast on all frequencies, meant to be heard by everyone in the system. Galactic Council, this is War Master Krethkor of the Voronak Empire. You exiled us 2,000 years ago. You thought you had destroyed us. You were wrong. We have returned and we will have our revenge. You have 48 hours to surrender control of Viridian Station and all Council territories. Refuse and we will take them by force. The transmission ended. Kriva looked at Chen. Can we negotiate? No, Chen said flatly. They are not interested in negotiation. They want submission or destruction. Those are the only two options they are offering. How do you know? Chen finally looked up from her tactical display. Because I recognize the tone. I have heard it before many times in human history. That is the voice of someone who has been wronged and wants blood payment. Words will not stop them. Only force will. She returned to her work. Which is why we are going to hit them first. First? Mindari observer Telshan's telepathic voice carried confusion. They said we have 48 hours. And that is a lie, Chen replied. Look at their formation. They are already in attack position. They are advancing at maximum speed. They will be in weapons range in less than 2 hours. The 48-hour ultimatum is psychological warfare. They want you panicked and disorganized when they attack. High Commander Zixtar studied the tactical display with new eyes. Chen was right. The Voronak were clearly preparing for an immediate assault. How do we counter this? He asked. Chen smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. We do not counter it, we use it. They think we are panicking. They think we are disorganized. They think we are easy prey. We are going to let them believe that right up until the moment we spring the trap. The Voronak fleet entered weapons range exactly 97 minutes after their arrival in the system. They came in the traditional formation their species had used for 2,000 years, a hammer and anvil approach designed to crush defenders between two overwhelming forces. What they found was not what they expected. The Council defense fleet was not clustered together in a defensive formation. Instead, it was spread across three-dimensional space in a pattern that made no immediate sense. Ships were positioned at seemingly random intervals, with large gaps between formations. To the Voronak, it looked like panic and confusion. War Master Krethkor watched from the bridge of his flagship, the Vengeful Return. His tactical officer reported the enemy positions with clear satisfaction. They are in complete disarray, War Master. Our intelligence was correct. The Council has forgotten war. Their ships are scattered. Their formation has no defensive cohesion. We will crush them easily. Krethkor nodded, his mandibles spreading in what passed for a smile among his kind. 2,000 years of exile, 2,000 years of suffering and rebuilding, and now the moment of revenge had finally come. Begin the attack, he ordered. All ships advance. Focus fire on their largest vessels first. Show the Council what happens to those who exiled the Voronak. 473 warships surged forward, weapons charging, targeting systems locking onto Council vessels. Victory seemed certain, then the Indomitable activated. The human warship had been sitting dark, running minimal power, appearing on sensors as just another Council vessel. Now it blazed to life like a small sun, its power core going from standby to combat power in seconds. Every weapon system came online simultaneously. Chen's voice cut across the communication channels to all Council ships. All vessels, execute Alpha Strike on designated targets. Fire on my mark. The scattered Council formation suddenly made perfect sense. Every ship had been positioned with careful precision, creating overlapping fields of fire that covered every approach vector. What had looked like chaos was actually a carefully constructed killing zone. Mark. The Council ships opened fire simultaneously. Gravity disruptors running at maximum power lanced out toward the Voronak fleet. They targeted weapon systems, shield generators, and engine clusters. The effect was devastating. Vornak ships suddenly found their weapons crushed by localized gravitational forces. Shield generators failed as their power conduits were compressed beyond tolerance. And through the confusion, the Indomitable struck. The human warship's main railguns fired, accelerating tungsten slugs to a significant fraction of light speed. The physics were simple and brutal. A small piece of metal moving fast enough carried more kinetic energy than any conventional explosive. When those slugs hit Vornak capital ships, they punched straight through armor, shields, and hull, leaving catastrophic damage in their wake. 3 Vornak battlecruisers died in the first 5 seconds of combat, simply ceased to exist as their reactors went critical from the massive kinetic impacts. The explosions were visible across the system, bright flashes that marked the end of ships that had survived 2,000 years of exile. "What is that?" Krethkor roared, staring at the tactical display in disbelief. "What kind of weapon is that?" His tactical officer was frantically analyzing the data. "Unknown design, Warmaster. The energy signature does not match any Council technology we have encountered. The projectiles are purely kinetic, no explosive payload, but the impact velocities are enormous." The Indomitable did not stop firing. Its weapon systems had been designed for sustained combat. Railguns cycled, plasma torpedoes launched, and missile batteries released their payloads. Every shot was precise, calculated, devastating. Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the tactical display with the calm focus of someone who had done this many times before. "Starboard battery, target the dreadnought. Port battery, suppressing fire on the escort cluster. Missile tubes 3 through 8, saturate zone Delta 4. Her crew moved with perfect coordination, each order executed instantly. The Indomitable danced through space, its maneuvering thrusters firing in complex patterns that kept it moving, kept it unpredictable, kept it alive. The Vornak fleet tried to adapt. They concentrated fire on the human ship, recognizing it as the primary threat. Hundreds of energy weapons struck the Indomitable's shields. For a moment, it seemed like the ship would be overwhelmed. Then the Council fleet demonstrated what Chen had taught them. The scattered defensive positions that had seemed so chaotic suddenly revealed their true purpose. Every Council ship had clear lines of fire to support the Indomitable. When the Vornak focused on the human warship, they exposed themselves to attacks from multiple directions. Captain Thorinell, commanding the Harmonious Unity, followed her new training. "All weapons fire on the marked targets. Do not stop firing until they are disabled or destroyed." The Zathan crew, who had never imagined themselves as warriors, discovered they were capable of violence when their home was threatened. Their gravity disruptors tore into Vornak ships with methodical precision. High Commander Zixtar commanded a squadron of Kresh vessels, his mandibles clicking in what might have been battle fury. Wing formation, execute flanking pattern Chen 7, attack the enemy rear positions. The Kresh ships moved with the coordination of their insectoid nature, swarming around the Vornak fleet like predators attacking a wounded animal. Mindari Observer. Telshan coordinated the sensor network, his telepathic abilities allowing him to process information from dozens of ships simultaneously and relay targeting data faster than any computer system. Enemy dreadnought at coordinates mark 731. Shields are weakened. Concentrate fire. 6 Council ships focused their weapons on the indicated target. The Vornak dreadnought's shields collapsed under the combined assault, and the ship began venting atmosphere. The battle raged for 16 hours. Not the quick, decisive victory the Vornak had expected, but a brutal, grinding conflict where every meter of space was contested. The Vornak had numbers and experience, but the Council had something they had not anticipated: human military doctrine. Chen rotated Council ships in and out of combat, keeping fresh vessels on the front line while damaged ones fell back for repairs. She used feints and false retreats to lure Vornak ships into traps. She identified weaknesses in their formations and exploited them ruthlessly. The Indomitable itself took tremendous damage. Hull breaches occurred in multiple sections. Shield generators failed and had to be rerouted. The ship's armor, already scarred from previous battles, gained new wounds, but the crew never faltered. Human engineering teams worked under fire, repairing systems even as explosions rocked the ship around them. Human gunners kept firing until their weapons overheated, then switched to backup systems and kept firing. Human tactical officers tracked hundreds of targets simultaneously, never missing an opportunity. This was what humanity had learned from 10,000 years of warfare. Not just how to fight, but how to keep fighting when everything seemed lost. How to endure. How to persist. How to win. War Master Krethkor watched his fleet being systematically dismantled. The Council ships fought with a coordination and tactical sophistication his species had never developed. And that human ship, that impossible human ship, was everywhere at once, striking like thunder wherever the Vornak showed weakness. War Master, his tactical officer said quietly, "We have lost 147 ships. Our formation is collapsing. The fleet cannot sustain these casualties." Krethkor looked at the display. They had come here seeking revenge, seeking to reclaim their place in the galaxy. Instead, they had found something they were not prepared for. An enemy that remembered war just as well as they did. An enemy that fought with terrible efficiency. And that human ship. That terrible, beautiful human ship that had introduced the Council to the reality of modern warfare. "Signal retreat," Krethkor said, the words bitter in his mouth. "All ships withdraw to the outer system. We will regroup and reassess." The Vornak fleet began to pull back, their faster-than-light drives charging. But Chen was not done. She ordered the Council fleet to pursue, harrying the retreating enemy, destroying stragglers, making sure the Vornak understood the cost of their attack. Finally, the last Vornak ship jumped to faster-than-light speed and disappeared. The battle was over. The system fell silent except for the emergency beacons of damaged ships and the soft hiss of venting atmosphere from hull breaches. The cost had been severe. 32 Council ships destroyed, 48 more damaged beyond immediate repair, thousands of casualties. The Council had paid the price for 300 years of forgetting what war meant, but they had won. In the Council chamber, the representatives gathered again. This time there was no debate, no discussion of human violations of Council law. Everyone understood what had happened. Humanity had saved them. Ambassador Kriva stood before Commander Chen, her crystalline body showing patterns of respect and gratitude. "Commander Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I thank you. You saved not just this station, but potentially our entire civilization. We were unprepared. We had forgotten. You remembered." Chen nodded, exhaustion visible on her face. "Ambassador, humanity did not want this. We did not want to prove ourselves through violence.